Alright, hello. My name is Nate Nelson. This is for Hyperactive Studios, and we're going to continue on with yet another video on basically we're going to start doing our insert class. And we just finished up the testdb at testdbconnect.php and the db underscore connect class.php. So we're going to create the db underscore insert class.php in this one. So what you want to do is, well, we're just going to code this one up, I guess, from scratch, really. You can copy and paste your code from your db insert PHP code that you did from before, and that'll save you some headaches. But what we're going to do is we're going to do open tag here for our PHP. All right, this is our opening tag. I'm going to stop spilling everything out as much now because it doesn't seem to be a point to it. And all right, so we're going to say this first. Save it. This is db underscore insert class dot php, and then we're going to say include. We're going to include our db underscore connect class dot php, and put that in single quotes around it, and end that off. All right, and then we're going to create a class, of course. So it starts our class object again, and we're going to call this one db insert, and we're going to extend db connect. This means that we're going to inherit from db connect. What that means, instead of retyping all this code just so we can connect up to the database, we're not going to. We're going to instead inherit it, and essentially we've basically gained all that code without having to type it. So we're going to add on to this code here, and this is what the power of inheritance is all about. So this way you can create what's called base classes. This would be a base class here for our database development. And then the other database functions can inherit it and gain the ability to connect to the database. So that means for delete, for insert, for update, they can all connect. They're just going to inherit the DB Connect class itself, and when they do, they'll gain all that functionality without having to type it up. This also means all of them are going to work the exact same way for connecting. All of them are going to connect the same way. All of them are going to have the same variables the same way. Everything's the same as far as that goes. And that all happens because they all are inheriting from the same class. So that means all the code is the same between them. This means you get what's called code reuse. You don't end up retyping the same thing over and over again. It means you have far fewer errors. It means you have far less code. And it also means that when you're trying to code it and use it, you have to remember far less because it's going to be the same thing over and over again for all of them. And so therefore you don't have to remember nearly as much stuff, because it's just the same framework, same infrastructure, if you will. And so as long as you keep your coding consistent like this, it sure makes life a whole lot easier by far. So that's kind of what the whole idea behind this is, and that's why we're using this in this manner. Alright, so we need to extend our extends here, db connect, to inherit our db connect and gain that code. So that's what we did here, and then we're going to add on this additional stuff beyond it. So we're going to do tables. It's going to equal single quotes here, semicolon. It's going to be public. We're going to do a public list here, and this public list here is equal to an array. Nothing there. Public condition equals single quotes semicolon, and public result equals false. So we're going to get back a result, and we need to know that publicly so we know if it failed or whatever. That's probably going to be important. So let me go ahead and also, while I'm at it, so I'll do my test here. I'm going to go ahead and just pull over my test on my insert here and put it next to my insert class. There we go. And so here you can see this in action. Here we are. We're setting our users, our database, the name of the user, name of the password, what the table's name is, and then we're assigning list to the records variable. This is in our named array. And so we're creating our named array here. It's like name, and its value is going to be student, email, and its value is this student's email address, like that. So very, very cool, and it keeps it very simple for doing it. And then we can just commit it. And we can test our commit to make sure it works and all that stuff, and everything's working correctly as we do it. So let's just troubleshoot too. So it's really, really cool, and that's what's going on here. So we're going to be passing this array list. So it's really simple like this. It's a named array, so that they correspond with the name and its value, the name and its value. So a named array just works out beautifully like that when we're doing our insert, because when we're doing insert, that's basically what we're doing. So that works out perfectly. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to set our list as an array, and then we're just going to pass it a named array. And that'll be awesome. And it'll construct the query for us, more or less, for doing the insert. So we just tell it what table, and we just pass it the name array. And then we don't have to worry about all the little details of the syntax every time we go to type one up. Instead, we just pass it a name array. Real simple, real straightforward, and bam, it works. So it's really nice, and it simplifies when you're coding these databases if you can pass it like a named array instead of going to type it up in detail and not forget a single quote or a period or a comma or whatever somewhere in there, and then the whole page doesn't work. Or it's a error in a list of pages and you're doing it through Ajax, and then so like somewhere in 10 pages or maybe 10,000 lines of code, there's a mistake, and so the whole thing doesn't work, and you get no errors back. Awesome. So yeah, anything you can do to cut that down as much as possible would be a great idea. So that's what we're doing. And here's our condition. We can do a condition with a where. So where in the condition, as far as that goes, we need to be able to set the condition for what's required. That's really up in the air. As you saw before, you could do a like, you could do a lot of things with a condition. And so since it's so far up in the air like that, there's really no way short of just writing it from scratch on that one to automate that like we have the other part of the insert statement. So we just have to let them type in the condition directly. I mean, I don't have a way of simplifying that further. So, but in the case of the insert part, yeah, the named array definitely simplifies it. So here's our result. And we're starting out with it being false, meaning it didn't work. And then we'll query that later on to find out if it does work or not. Insert here, we're going to say insert into. Set values, what we're going to set appear here. And then we have our values, which are going to appear here. So as far as that goes, then we have our different fields, right? So set values is where the values are going to go. Set fields is where the fields are going to go. Fields is where we start to do the field operation. Where is what would happen if we had something there. And then query is our overall query that we're going to do when we pass this thing over to be executed. So that's all the different parts there. And notice these are all private. That's because we don't want anything to inherit it, and we also don't want anything to manipulate it. So all this stuff's going to be done underneath the hood. This is the only stuff here that anyone's allowed to touch. These are the only properties that people are allowed to touch. These properties cannot be accessed. We won't access them only within inside of our class, and nothing access it outside of it. So that's why we made them private, and that's why we constructed it that way. Again, here's my construct. Again, I don't want to connect when this thing is constructed, because more likely than not, we're going to have to pass in values. Yes, I could pass in parameters when we do it. I just don't want to bother with it, so I'm going to do it as a separate function. So I'm not doing anything with the constructor. Private function. Yeah, we got a few of them. One of them is going to be fill values, and then we're going to have fill test values. Both of these are private, but they get called by commit and test commit. So these are the heavy lifters here that are doing stuff behind the scene, and this lets us simplify our functions that are more public here, not more public, the ones that are public versus the ones that are private, that are doing all the heavy lifting. So that kind of matters, and that's what's going on with that. So let's look at how do we do one of these constructing our values. So fill values, what it's going to do is it's going to take our list here, which is an array, right? So we're going to take this public one and we're going to process it, basically, our named array. So I'm going to say count equals 1, and we're going to say for each this list, which is pointing to ourselves for the list property, as value. So it's going to grab the first element out of this list array, and it's going to assign it to the variable called value. It's going to create this variable called value, and we're going to use it. Now I made this lowercase and I made this one uppercase. I made this one lowercase because this is a variable that only exists within inside this function. It's not an actual property of the class, whereas list is an actual property of the class. So therefore I made it capital L. Okay, so lowercase list, this is a method here we're going to use, or a function, shall we say. Actually, it's a function, because it's not part of this class, so it's not a method. So this is a function. So list, $, this arrow points to our set fields, or aka set fields from our class. And so we're going to fill the values of set fields, right? And we're going to set the and we're going to fill the values of set values. Now remember how this works. with this list with each combination here. When we do this, it's really quite cool. What happens is that this basically we grab the value, the first element out of the list here, and we're going to assign its name part to set fields variable, and we're going to assign its value part to its set values variable here inside of our class that are both private variables, private properties to these two properties. And then we basically split the two parts of our array, and then we can process it how it's going to lay out. Now, we go down to this if condition to determine how we're going to process it. A couple of things here. We need to determine, are we at the end of the list? If we are, then we need to not put a comma because that'll be an error, and we have to close off with a parentheses in certain cases. In other ones, we need to close it with a double quote and a parentheses. So that kind of matters a lot. So for that reason, we need to do, why is that so short? Sorry. Yeah, for whatever reason, that didn't fit. That's odd. Doesn't fit there. Anyways, whatever. Don't know. Don't care. Anyhow, so if we do get to the end of the list, on our fields, which are going to be our different names of things, we have to end it with the parentheses because that matches the syntax of SQL, and that's what it requires. In the case of our values, they're going to be basically encapsulated in quotes. So because they're encapsulated in quotes, and that's why we started it here with quotes, double quotes opening up, and that's why we did our fields here just with a single opening parentheses, because we don't use quotes around it. The names are just actual field names, so you don't put double quotes around it, but the values do get double quotes around them. So that's why we have to process them differently. So this has to end with a double quotes and a closing parentheses. So we started them here, okay? We started our values one here, like this, right? And then we end it over here. But of course, before we end it, we just append, we basically concatenate on this extra last field that we have here, so the last one gets added to it. And same thing goes for the value. The last value gets added to it, and then we're done after that. After that, the loop's going to end, and then we're going to go down to the next line of code, wherever it is, after this function gets called. So the function is going to return null, and then that's that. But after we're done, our fields and our values properties are fully configured and set up. And so they're going to contain the entire amount of fields that are going to be in there written. Basically, we'll write it all out. And same thing goes for the values. So this is a lot neater than, you remember how we were doing all those little commas and parentheses around that for that super long line that we were writing earlier for the insert. Remember how long and agonizing that was? Well, we've simplified it. We've done this in a loop. We're looping through all the elements in the array, and we're processing all the little details of the parentheses and the commas and all this stuff. It's all getting handled, and we're not really having to deal with it. Yep, that's that. So, and if you want, you could put a space here. It's whatever. Just to make things a little prettier, you can do that. Yay. Alright, so otherwise, it's still at the end of the list, and we need to keep processing stuff. So we need to keep adding in fields and values. And so the easiest way to do that is to come in here and say this equal this basically arrow over points to fields, concatenate equals this set fields here, dot operator, comma. And so this separates it, each one by a comma here for the field. So it's going to list each field that we have when we're doing the basically the names of the fields inside the parentheses. And then for our values, we're adding on, we're concatenating again the set value, and we're basically ending it with a set of double quotes, and then we're doing a comma and a space and another set of double quotes for the next one. So this becomes the starting double quotes of the next set field when we do it. We know we can get away with that because we're not at the end of the list. Once we're at the end of the list, we're just going to end it with a double quotes and close parentheses. But while we're still doing the list, we're going to basically set up the opening quotes and put a comma between it with a space for the next value in the value list. Okay, cool. And then we're going to say count plus plus as we increment it. So it's going to keep on incrementing it bit by bit here as we do it. So very, very cool and very, very useful. So there we go. And this is where we're determining whether or not our count is equivalent to the end of the list or not. You could also say greater than or less than or equal to. Or I'm sorry, greater than or equal to would work. Sorry. If you want to be a little more careful about it, you can say greater than equal to, so that way, in case it goes one value past, you always catch it. But this is a little more riskier, putting just a double equals. But this should work because it gets incremented by 1 every single time, so there should be no logical reason why it would never not do it correctly. But there are some, so you get into floating point values, stuff like that, that can catch you. But we're dealing with integers here, so we can get away with this. So that's how that works. All right. So with our count plus plus, we have incremented it. Now we return null afterwards, and now our values are filled. Okay. Over here we have our test fill values. And the significance of this is that we are echoing out what the field and the value is as we're processing the array, value-based array, named value-based array. So, or named array, whatever you want to call it. So basically, with this setup, this is telling us what the field is and what the value is, and it lets us know if we've done anything wrong while we're coding it. Also lets us know if we're passing in the array and it's not in the right order or something's screwed up or whatever. It lets us see all that. And so basically this makes it verbose, if you will. Basically displays each issue as we come across it. And this will help you troubleshoot. So it's the exact same thing, copy the exact same thing, and then paste the list, right below the list, this echo right here. And we're going to concatenate with this set fields here, and then that's going to be for the field. We're going to concatenate with that with the values, so this set values like so. And we're going to break statements. So we're going to do that each one. It's just going to create a list of what the different values are to get passed at. Awesome. And it'll still construct it correctly. Hopefully. Unless you have a problem. If you have a problem, then it won't, of course. And then we're going to do a commit here. Okay. So public function here, commit, open close parentheses, open curly brace. $sign this. And so we're going to connect, use the connect function. We got this connect function. You might go, we didn't define a connect function. Yeah, we did actually. We defined it back over here from our inherited class. So over here, we defined our connect function over in this class. So we don't have to define it again. We already have it. So we can just literally call it, and it's now a function of this class. And we didn't have to even write it up because we wrote it previously. And that's what I was talking about, the beautiful of inheritance. There you go. All right, so we're going to say this now. We're going to say field values that we already coded out. We'll close parentheses. That'll construct our values and our fields. And then we're going to construct our query at this point. So we're going to say query here equals insert dot tables dot fields dot values. All right, and so there's our fields and values come into play. And then it gets better. If, for any reason, we happen to have the condition is set to something other than nothing at all, which is what we started with. If it's not blank, essentially, then someone's typed in a condition. At which point, if there is a condition, then we need to construct our where statement. So then we append onto, concatenate onto, the where part and the condition for the where. And then that will do it based on a condition for doing this insert, as far as that goes. So there we go. Wait a minute, does insert have a condition? I don't think it does. Oh well. It does for update. We do for delete. I might have gotten a little bit crazy happy with creating these and forgot that the insert doesn't have a condition. Alright, I'm just going to leave it for now. I don't care. Anyways. I don't think. Well, maybe they do. I'm trying to remember. Oh well. Anyways, $sign this result equals MySQL underscore query. And we're going to say $sign this arrow pointer to query close parentheses semicolon. All right, and that's going to let me process my query now. and it's going to assign the result back to result, and then we're going to test it. And if it failed, it's going to say dies, just like before. Just copy and paste that. You don't have to do squat. All right. Copy and paste this whole thing right here for a commit, and then we're going to call it test commit. Test commit's not going to process the query. Okay. We're trying to find out if this works, not trying to actually test. Actually try to commit the query. We're not trying to commit the query. We're trying to run tests on it to see what's happening with the program. So I don't want to actually execute this for real. Essentially, I'm going to run through a simulation of its execution. So I'm going to say test connect here. I'm going to say test fill values. See all these tests now? Oh yeah, they're all coming to fruition here. And so it's going to make it nice and easy to test out what's going wrong with this. Alright, I'm going to say this here query, and then we're going to arrow over to insert dot tables dot this fields dot values here, and then we're going to say if the condition is blank not equals, then we're going to do our where here and its condition. I'm going to assign that to the query, and then we're going to echo out the query, and that's that. Alright, awesome. So let's check out our test db insert. And so we have to say include db underscore insert class dot php, right? $record equals array. So we're creating an array like we talked about earlier. All right, there's our named array. New db insert, open close parentheses, semicolon, wide open close parentheses, because this is a constructor. And so we have to construct this class. So you need to put the parentheses there. You can do it technically without them, but don't do it with the parentheses. $insert here. Insert database equals users, so single quotes all around it, semicolon, the name, the password, the table, and then what values we want to insert. And then what we're going to do is do our test commit though. I want to see this work in action. Alright. So, said and done. I'm going to save it like that, and let's go test it. So back over here, I'm just going to create another tab. I'm going to say Nate slash, and I'm going to say test db insert .php, and there we are. And resource record ID number 4, database connection successful, database selection successful, database queries ready. Field name, field is name, the value for values, it is student. Field name is email, and then the value for that is student at localhost. So there we're seeing it getting actually executed on it. We're going to insert this into test table here, open parentheses, name, comma, email, close parentheses, values, open parentheses, double quotes, student, close double quotes, comma, open double quotes, student at localhost, close double quotes, close parentheses. There we go. There's a perfectly formed query. It worked. So then I can do this for real. I can just come back over here if I like, and we can then create. Let's create a different user. Let's call it Django. All right, and this will be Django at localhost. All right, save it like that. Pop it back over here. Oh, and did we switch it up? Yeah, we did. Okay, switch it back to commit. Awesomeness. Come back over here. Run it. You see nothing at all, but it actually inserted it instead. So what we're going to do is come back over to our terminal, and we need to see the results of this. Okay. So if I say show tables, let's just see the different tables we have. But if you remember right, we're messing with test table, right? So I need to do a select star from test table, and we get them all. And check it out, we have the Django now in here. So 14 is the Django at localhost, and there we are. So it got inserted from our code. Absolutely awesome. Totally cool. And then we could set this up with a form, just like we did with our update, only we don't fill it, propagate with data, which makes it simpler for doing the insert actually, because you don't have to fill the data on it. And on the update, you do need to fill the data into it. Otherwise, they're going to make typos and they won't see it. So, yeah, you fill in the data, and you don't make them type it all over again. That's horrible. So there you go. And you could use this with a form, just like we did before. Ajax it, where it just inserts it, and pow, there you go. Very, very cool and awesomeness. Indeed, indeed. All right. So with that, there's our insert. But where's an insert without a delete? So let's create a delete here. Alright, so we got our delete class. Copy and paste your insert class over here, and we're going to create a db underscore delete class.php. Alright, go ahead and do that and save it to our folder. We're going to say include db underscore connect class. Well, we don't have to, it's already there from the previous one. So that's the same, that's the same. Change it to db delete for this part for the class. Tables there, conditions there, result is there. Delete the other parts because we don't need it. We don't need to pass in a whole list of values because we're going to be deleting stuff. And so the delete's going to be based on the condition. So it's delete from where, etc. So, you know, the only thing, this one's rather minimal comparison to the insert. The insert's more involved. All right, so we're going to create a private here. In this case, delete where query. So it's going to be delete from where, and then queries just blank like that. So make those modifications. These are private. Again, we don't have anyone accessing them. The only thing people are allowed to access are tables, condition, and the result. That's it. We don't want them accessing anything else. Okay, we have our commit. Notice we don't have our fill values. We don't need anymore. Delete them. Delete fill values from this class. Don't delete it from the other class. Delete from this class only, right? So delete that one, fill values, and the test fill values. And then we have our commit here that we're going to do. So our commit, public function commit here, open curly brace, this connect. So we're doing our connect because we inherited it. We did before. Query, we just basically start formulating it really. Delete, and then tables, and then we do our condition to see if our condition is blank. If it is, if it's not blank, that is, I'm sorry, we're going to concatenate it. So we're going to add the where and its condition to it. Otherwise, we're done. We need to run the result here for our commit, and then we need to test to see if the result was good or not. If it was good, then delete took, and we wiped out that record. If it's not good, then we got a problem. And it's going to tell us that, what the problem was. In the case of a test commit, especially with delete, you want to do a test, make sure things are set up correctly and you're not going to delete the entire database, for instance. So public function test commit, you laugh, but no, it's possible. Very, very possible. That's the problem with delete. It's all too easy to delete all the records in the database, so be careful with this. But anyways, this test connect here, this query here, this delete, this tables. So we're going to concatenate them all. And we're going to do our test to see if our condition is blank. If it is, cool. Then if it's not blank, I mean, we're going to concatenate the where and the condition, and then we're going to display it out as an echo. We're not going to process it. We're going to see what the result is. And so there we go. And that is how you do a delete. Cool. And that's going to be our test commit. So pretty much the same thing. We're just going to be changing the echo down here. So you just copy and paste the one above, and then, you know, get rid of your whole processing with the results and all that stuff. Okay, cool. And now we need to create a test db delete.php. So opening PHP tag, include our db underscore delete class.php. Close that one off. All right, cool. We're going to say delete new db delete, open close parentheses, semicolon. And we're going to say delete database equals users. Username here is going to be Nate. Password is going to be password. Test table for our tables. And then condition here is name equals student. Now I'm going to change this one a little bit. I actually want to get rid of Nate because I have too many Nates. I have two Nates now. So it's going to get rid of both of them. I can do a test commit and I can do the actual commit. So I'm going to not do the actual commit, but this is one of those rare ones. If you do the other ones, a lot of times these test commits, it won't work because you're going to be concatenating and making a difference with those lists and test values, with those fields and the values. So it'll be a problem. In this case, we have no fields and values for our delete, so we can get away with this because we don't have to worry about doing concatenation, adding stuff on there we don't want, etc. Okay, so if I come right here to Firefox, you can then type in Nate slash, and I'm going to say test db, and I'm going to say delete. And there we go. It says success for connecting. We've got a resource record as 4. Exception of success. Database query is ready. And then delete from table where name equals Nate in quotes. Awesome. Perfect. That's exactly what we should see as far as that goes. Okay, cool. So let's no longer simulate. Let's do. So I'm just going to say save. Now I could test out this test commit and I wouldn't see anything at all, but I don't care. It's not going to affect me, so since it's not going to affect me, might as well do it. Okay, bam, it did it. You might go on, did it really? Yep, come over here, list on it, pow. Nate is gone from both entries. So it goes now from 10 to 14. Check it out, 11 and 12 are toast. So good to go. These two are gone now from here. See how they're just gone. Nothing there. So delete totally worked, and it's awesome. Great. Anyways, that is how delete works. Got one more to do here for our update. Let's get update, and let's look at some other type of setups that we can do too with classes, because this doesn't cover all classes, unfortunately. Yeah, there's more. So a good bit more actually, so we need to go over that. But anyways, let's hit up our update here. So again, we're going to copy and paste from our insert one for our update because it's a closer match. And then we're going to say our db underscore, well, it's all the same here, but we're going to change it to db update like this. And it extends from db connect, of course, as usual. This is all the same. We have to change it, but we're going to have to change where insert is. Instead of insert into, it's going to say update here instead. We got our set, we got our where. As far as that goes, so it's a little bit different. We don't have our values type thing. So as far as that goes, so a little different there. We also don't have our fields. We do have our set fields, we just don't have our fields. The reason why is because it's going to get composed a little bit differently for update. And you'll see here in just a second why that is. So we come down here to our field values. We're going to use the same one again as we did before, but things are a little different this time. So this is all the same here. This part right here is the same. And then this is where it changes up. Right? So I'm going to say this values here is dot equal to set fields dot to concatenate it to equals, and then inside of quotes it's going to be the value that's going to equal. So this is going to give us our field, right? The name field here, and then we're going to set equal to its value inside of double quotes. So we have to put the double quotes here for starting, then we put in the value right here, and we concatenate that with a closing double quotes, and we end that with a single quote there, and then semicolon, and that ends it right there as far as that one goes. And you notice we had to do this separately again because we didn't want that comma there. We have to have a comma between them otherwise, normally. So yeah, we have to handle that differently. So since we're at the end of our list, that's how we're going to handle it. If we're not at the end of the list, however, we're going to do something a little differently. We're going to say values here, we're going to concatenate that with our set fields, or concatenate that with our equals, and we're going to put double quotes there, and we're going to say this have the value in between the double quotes, and then we're going to put a comma afterwards, a space, because we're going to basically be listing the name, the equals, the value inside of double quotes, and then a comma, the next one, the next one, next one, until we get to the end, and then it won't be anymore. And in which case we just end it with double quotes. That's it. In this case, we're going to say count plus plus, and we're going to return null. Again, copy and paste, and then put test field values in there. Awesomeness. Put an echo field, set fields, and its values, set the values. Awesome. Just like before, everything else is the same, however, on that. Then down for here for our commit, it's pretty much just like before almost. Have our connect, we have our field values, and then we have our query. This insert, did I still say insert? I might have. Yes, okay, so let me change this to update. I'm so sorry. Change that to update up there on line 11. Scrolling back down. So sorry about that. This is what happens when you copy and paste. You forget to change stuff sometimes. Alright, update. Like that. So that lets us do our update. And we're going to concatenate that with this and then tables. So we're going to do our tables here. Concatenate that with its values. Alright, cool. That's all we need. Now, however, if there's a condition there, then we're going to concatenate on the where and its condition. Otherwise, we're not. And then we're going to say get the result of this query and return it here. If it failed, then we're going to say die and say what the error is. We're going to copy and paste this. And we're going to come in here and say test in front of the commit, right? And then we're going to say test connect, test fill values here, query equals insert dot tables dot values here, and we're going to say if this condition not equal to single quotes here, like that, closing parentheses for the if statement here, and we're going to say this query dot equals this where dot this condition, of course, and we're doing that, of course, if we have nothing, if there is something in the condition, then yes, we're going to have to create that condition. So cool. Otherwise, okay, and again, here, I need to update. My apologies. I need to spell it right, too. You shouldn't be having problems. All right, and there we go. Not equal to query. Okay, yeah, so we got all that, and we just display the query afterwards to make sure it works. There we go. Close all that stuff out like we need to. Closing that one there. Closing the one up above, which is the test commit. Or, not test commit, sorry. The whole class. Yeah, the class always has a semicolon at the end. Don't forget that. Huh. Otherwise, it won't work, and that'd be an error. Very easy to overlook it. Yeah, everything else that doesn't have a semicolon at the end of it, just like in C++. If you forget this in C++, it's usually a really big, difficult pain to hunt it down because you're just not expecting it, or at least I'm never expecting it. So, and you never get an error message that would like point you to it in my case. So, yeah, watch out for that. But anyways, question mark and then greater than sign here in our PHP tag. Cool. Then we're going to create our testdb update.php. Copy and paste the one from the insert and make some changes for it. So we're going to say db underscore update class.php here for our include. And then we're going to say record equals array, name, in this case, Nate, where it matches Nate. And then we're going to say email Nate at localhost. All right. In our case, Nate is toast, so we need to do Django in here instead. And Django's already has a email of localhost. So if I come in here and I say local domain, then we'll see a difference. Okay? So cool. Oh, I was changing student. Yeah. Do I have more than one student in here? I don't remember. No, I don't have a student anymore. Student's toast. Yeah, I got rid of student back when. Okay. Oh well. Let's just do this change on the Django here instead. And let's do it where the name equals the Django. Cool. Alrighty. So Davis users, username is Nate, password is password, test table is for the tables, and then the condition is name equals the Django and double quotes like that. And then we just pass the record to the list like so, and then we're ready to do our test commit. Awesome. Save. Alright. Let's run it and see what happens. Well, here again, Nate slash test db update. And what we get? Ah, bam, we get name, values, the Django, field, email, values, long email. Awesomeness. Alright, and then we say update test table set name equals the Django, comma, email equals the Django at localhost.localdomain, where name equals the Django. So it's going to update that record. Cool. Well, that looks correct. So let's go ahead and do this then. Update's one of those you pretty much definitely want a condition on it, like always. Otherwise, oh my gosh. So here we go. Whoa, didn't mean to do that. So sorry. Got click happy. Alright, coming back to this one here again. So sorry. Enter. Pow. Okay, did it. Well, sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Check it out. Updates, and now it's the Django. Django at localhost.localdomain. I really don't like that though. It's too long for me, for my taste. So I'm just going to come back here and change it back now. I just wanted to show you that it updates and it works. Save. Come back to my web page here. Enter. Come back to my database table. Run it again. Bow. There you check it out. Django at localhost. And change it back again. So our update works beautifully. And there we go. So now we did our insert, our delete, our update, etc. Awesome. Get the idea. You can do a query on your own. For select, it's going to work the same way. You can pass back the values as an array. You can, whatever you want to do. you can pass back the yeah. That's all you gotta do really. So yeah, that's basically it. Just like we were doing with the form earlier, and then the forms can process it accordingly, however they like, whatever is needed. And this makes this a lot easier. It makes it beautiful, it makes it clean, it makes it easy to work with, and it makes it quite nice. So with that, basically we're done with this video, and then the next video, I guess we'll do some more with classes and some of the other stuff. All right. Well, thank you very much. My name is Nate Nestler. This is for High Practice Studios. Thank you very much.